streaming. Cool. Cool beans. So one new thing that we're trying today is throughout the lecture, if I think a concept is important, I'm going to take a note of the time. My watch is synced up to the video, and later I'm going to annotate the video. So you'll have a table of contents of any time you asked a question or of key concepts so that you can just click on that and go straight to that section in the video. Another thing that I want to stress is how important it is that you guys are comfortable asking questions. I know I've said this before, and I'll say it again. But also that you're comfortable answering questions. It's way more ideal for you to answer a question and be wrong than just not answer a question at all. Okay, so we want to make a Django application. What's the first thing we do? Called what? Okay. What's next? You're close. Yep. Now it's create. What else? Oh, or is it? I think it's start project, right? Startup is going to be in a second. It's not an original. It's from the last boot camp. Okay, so now we have our NASAgram. What's next? How do I do that? We don't. That would potentially cause problems. Yeah, let's try to get a little bit more creative. How about I'll call it NASA comments? Okay. Okay, so I'll. Well, okay, so you're saying the first thing I should do is add the app to settings. I can do that. Gotta close all of this first. Okay. Oh, where is settings?
Settings is in the main NASA folder, NASAgram, and then for NASA and NASAgram,
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, so you said we need to add it to settings, so I can just like put it. Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah, let's. Habit. More than anything. No manage apply. Oh yeah. Really. Yikes. Cool, so we're, yikes. All right. So we're done, right?
Well, when you're making an master folder, I didn't get managed on my folder.
Really? You did Django Start project?
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry guys, I have a moderating problem, so if I don't have coffee, I'm gonna start having a headache.
That's literally withdrawal.
It is.
And that's how you do the withdrawal.
Ah, just like that.
It's 2019, we're about drug-free lifestyle. Why would you commit to such areas? Everyone does drugs. Yeah. But when you consider coffee a drug, you're just promising coffee. I'm not gonna write that.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, there you go.
So there's some problems with this. This doesn't look anything like our mock-up. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I feel led astray a little bit here.
Okay, go back to your VS Code, please.
Okay.
Go ahead and go to your models.
Go to my models.
I'm sorry.
Where-
Your NASA comment.
Okay. So I'm at NASA Comic.
No, I think it's the one.
This one. Oh.
Models.
Oh, okay. So. So.
Stay in the right directory and go do class, comment, open parenthesis, model.
Wait. Let's let someone else take over from here. What? Model stop. Okay. What is? Wait. What is that?
That's like we're inheriting from that module of the specification.
Oh, okay. So this is like a. What is this? Models.
That's a module.
And what is this?
That's in class.
Okay. How do you know that?
Object oriented programming.
Is there anything about these two that can tell you which one is a class?
Capital.
Title case. Right. So we can see this and we can immediately be like, that's a class. Okay. What should we have as fields on our model? Well, I want someone I haven't heard from.
Those images on the mock-up page.
Okay. Oh, so we want like a image. So we have a few options here. We could download the image and save it to the database. He's got the right idea. Or we could just save the URL. So let's save the URL. Do you guys think Django has anything specific, like for saving a URL in a model? Probably. So let's see, URL, Django, URL model field. Advantage, I like that question. Cool. It's not going to make too much of a difference to us, but it'll probably be better. So let's use what this guy is saying, which essentially what the advantage of using, wow, he's not even really using a URL field as much as a validator. So what he's doing is using something called a validator, which is just like a function, or in this case actually a class, that you can pass into a field, and it's just going to run it through a series of checks before it will save. Right? You can think of it as in, like, everybody had to do the horoscope project, right? So there, if somebody said for a month they said 13, that would be wrong, right? So if you wanted to, in Django, make it so that 13 could never be saved, right, as a month, you would use a validator to do that. So this is just a Django provided validator that just runs through a series of checks every time you save it. to make sure that it is, in fact, a appropriate URL.
Do you know if this feature also escapes the
Can you?
well,
Clear.
for example, you might have cross-site scripting, just thinking about escaping content that's user-entered content. Or I guess
Oh,
at
yes,
this
I
point,
see.
this
You're
feature
worried
is
about,
not
like,
taking user
injection or something like that. So Django's ORM is going to protect against those problems as long as you're not writing SQL directly, right? As far as, so if someone is trying to save it in like a text field.
Well, for this field,
Yeah.
I think in your model, it's not taking user input, but for the comments field, for example,
Mhm.
you want that sanitized. Does Django provide
Yes,
that?
that is exactly that is one of the purposes of the ORM, right? Which again, the ORM is object relational mapping. What it does is it takes us from a Django class and directly to SQL, right? So what it allows us to do is convert our data from back and forth from a class to SQL and from SQL to a class. There is a way to write Django SQL in Django, and there you do need to look up the standards for sanitizing within Django. But Django has a lot of tools to help you do that. You usually don't run into that problem because if there's just so few cases where you should be writing SQL directly in Django. Cool, and we're going to grab this. I feel like that'll be a good. Cool, so we have our image. What else do we need? Comment. So what should our comment be? We could do a chart. Do you guys want any validation on this? Do you want to limit the amount they can comment?
What is the difference between text field and chart field? That's what we used yesterday.
Off the top of my head, I think that it's that a char field you can do that max length, and I don't know if you can do that at a text field. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. Use a char field when you need to limit the maximum length and a text field otherwise. So the real question is, do we want to limit how much they can type in?
Yes.
Okay, then let's use a, you guys want to limit people's expression? Okay, so what can we pass in to do that in here? Equals 300? Sure. Anything else? Let's look at our mockup. Okay, so here we have image, text, and rating. Okay. So how should we store a rating? Integer? Okay. So no half stars?
Are you going to, yeah, that's a question.
What do you guys think? Yeah. People that put half stars are just hedging. So let's do
What's the average of all of it?
Well, then you need less than.
I'm not going to have my algorithm hedge if I don't want people to hedge.
It's a whole can of worms, man.
Okay. Who wants an integer field? Who wants a float field? Oh, you guys are sorely offloaded. I'm sorry. Okay. So what should this field be called? Yeah, I know I said it. Shouldn't have given it away. Cool. Are we done here?
You have a max how many stars you have.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Well, are we going to do that in our model? So let's think about how Django. This is actually a perfect segue. Oh, yes, perfect. So. So, if we remember that graph from before, we have a user. We have the user gets a URL, which then goes to a view. Which then can either go to models or to templates. Template is what we're learning about today, and template is responsible for storing HTML, CSS, JavaScript, although it's like can get wonky. And this is where we're going to put all of our buttons, all of the UI, right? Everything that the user is going to see and directly interact with is going to be in our template. Our model, right, which is what we're on right now, is only responsible for data. Right? So anything not data related, we don't want. Here. Does that answer your Are there any questions about anything we've gone over thus far?
Can you just add a default equals 0 to your
And I think someone said we wanted a max.
Well,
Cool.
you only get 5 stars.
Integer,
So that's cool.
integer, field, Django, max. Wow, that is
I do have a
insanely convoluted.
Why did you save the image as a URL as opposed to an actual image?
Wow.
And when would you use the image?
So let's say that, and as we would expect, right, because clearly with designers as good as us, right, Nasagram is going to explode. And we have 1 million people on Nasagram. So, and they are making, 3 comments each on different pictures. So now what we've done is we basically cloned all of NASA's pictures, and instead of using their service and taking advantage of the fact that they're storing all of those pictures, we're now paying thousands of dollars in AWS fees to store their pictures that we could just link to. So that is why. Oh, drop it in Slack. That is a way better solution than the other one. Oh my gosh. What was that other guy doing? Like he made his own class to handle it? So what we've done is, again, this is another validator because we want a max and we want a min, right? It's an integer field. As long as it's an integer, it'll say it. Right? So we don't want it to say if it is below 0, right? And we don't want it above, well, if we want a 5-star rating, we don't want it above that. So these are some validators that Django provides that we can just import and just tell it what our max should be and what our min should be, and it'll handle it for us. Do we want a 5-star rating? What if we had like a 9-star rating? Fine, try to innovate. Try to innovate, and people don't like it. I'm trying to shift paradigms. Cool. So are we good to go?
I think you need to run a migration.
Run a migration. Okay, so how do I do that?
So Python migration.
Can you explain what that's doing?
It's migrating your model to the database.
So we're migrated, right? Like everything's in our database right now when we do make migrations. So we've got. What do you think? Yeah.
We made
By using what? Okay. So we can see that make migrations, in a sense, it stages our data. It stages our data, right? Essentially what it's doing is it tells us, hey, or essentially it takes the class and it turns it into something that SQL can read, and then migrate runs through that. So let's actually look at what make migration does, because we can go view that in migrations. So here's our initial migration, and we can see that we had it's running migrations create model, comment, had an ID, an image, a comment, and a rating. So this is code that Django has generated from our models.py. When we do make migrations, it creates that migration. When we migrate, it runs through and loads that into the database. And I just made a note of migrations, so you'll be able to click on it. Okay, well, what do we need to do next? Specify the author? Oh, like who, the user? So this is going to be an anonymous website, so crazy things are going to happen. But so we can go and we can refresh this and, oof, actually, I need to run it first. If we refresh this, are we? Okay. Where do you guys think we should head to? So we've done. Let's look at our flow chart over here. So we handled our models. Where should we go now? So data is taken care of. I really am not sure about what we should do in our views yet. But we know that we're going to have 2 pages. So if we want to go ahead and set up the URLs for those pages, where can we go?
Can you go back to your models?
Mm-hmm.
So this stage begs a question I meant to ask earlier. So
Mhm.
yesterday we created our routes. We called that simple API,
Mhm.
which seems to make sense. And this one we called it, I'm not even sure which one is our root, massive comment, massive graph.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this typically be the API?
Well, no, because it's going to be rendering templates, so it's not an API
So we don't
by
do that
definition.
with API, even though we're going to be routing those to
An API is
host.
so a RESTful API is specifically for like a machine consumption.
So you wouldn't call that internal API? That's just not correct?
Yeah. Now we might make an API in addition to this, right? So somebody mentioned like doing pagination, or like there's ideas like infinite scroll, right? That you'll see on most websites, or search, having the rating, being able to do the rating. You would do that all with an API, and then you'd have a little bit of JavaScript on the front end. But don't worry, we're going to cover that just a week from now.
So if you wanted an API for this, what would you call the NAS Django project?
Yeah, NASAgram is a Django project, and NASA Comment is an app.
So if you wanted an API, you would make another folder in the same folder as NASA.
You would do start app, and you'd say API.
Would it be wrong to call that subfolder routes?
A little bit confusing, I think, but it's not wrong. It's just more of like what's going to be intuitive for somebody to understand.
You have near multiple apps for
Yes. Yeah, so that's again one of the strengths of Django, right? Is that it's based on this idea of microservices, where you can have multiple apps that could even be deployed separately, right? But what it's allowing you to do is sort of keep your logic segued into just particular functionality, and that really reduces the complexity you have to deal with, right? Because imagine you have a NASAgram blows up, you're working on it full time. So now you have a part that's the user-facing aspect, right, which is what we're building right now. But now you need to also build an API that's internal, right, for you to use on the website. But you also might need to build an API for other people to use, right, because people want your data, right, and you want to maybe charge them for your data, right? You might have an API for custom integrations, right? What happens when someone wants to make an Android app using your product? And they want particular configs, right? With Django, you can have all of those ideas sort of separated, and that makes it easier to develop. Django is designed for rapid development. I worked in Rails and I've worked in other frameworks. Worked in Rails for 3 years before coming to Clemson, and I can build in Rails very fast, not as fast as I can build something in Django. Right? Just because Django has all of these really nice tools to help you, divide and conquer your problem. Oh. Yeah, I guess it's set to. I don't know, I was told that I could just hit start streaming. Okay. Well, good thing we haven't gotten into the meat of it yet. All right. So where are we headed? URLs. Aye, aye. Okay. So is this the URLs we should be in? It's one of them. Okay. So what do we need to do in this URLs? Yes.
next to import path, comma, space.
Right next to import path. Oh. Okay. And then?
Then path, parentheses, just single if, comma, enter that.
It's going to be NASA comment.urls. Right. And let's put all of this under NASA comment. I was thinking about that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So, no module call named NASA comment URLs. What do we need to do? Okay, how can I do that? Okay. Circular import. Does not appear to have any patterns in it. Really? That's so weird. Okay. Oh. Very picky, I see. Like an import. We should probably import path, right? We'll probably use that. Okay. Does anyone who has not spoken yet have an idea of what we should do? The number of people who have not spoken will narrow down over time. Yes. I did a second ago. I executed a command. Touch. So you can do like, let's just make something. I can say touch hello.txt, and all it does is creates it. That's right. Yeah. It's just. I used to touch things and then Vim into them, and I was like, no, I should just Vim in if I'm going to edit. But ideas.
Is this the
Whoa, Queenland. We've already. All right.
trying to silence my voice?
Yes. Okay. How can we do that? Awesome. Okay, well, so we need to define the first argument of this. Can someone tell me what the first argument does? The address. Okay. So someone who hasn't spoken yet, tell me what we should call this URL path. Okay, so like NASA comment. Well, so we called the other one, right? So what we've done in our URLs is we've already said that anything wow, I can't spell. Okay. So anything that's going to appear in this URL patterns by default, because of the way we imported it into the other one, is going to have this in front of it already. So now our question is, for the home page, what should be there? Slash home. Okay, it's an option. To do index, it doesn't matter. It's completely arbitrary. It could be like 9. It does not matter what it is. Well, some special characters might fail, but okay. Now, what about for our create page? What should we, or create and update? Or actually, just our create. What should we call that path? Someone who hasn't spoken. Of which I think there are only 3 people who haven't spoken. Cool. Now for update, what should we call it? Yeah. You guys are looking at me like, why is he asking easy questions? But when I ask hard questions. Okay. What do you guys want to call the function that we use to render the home page? wait, like view underscore home. A little redundant, but I like it. Okay, and anybody can answer now. What should we call the one for the create?
Create.
Okay. Update. You guys are blinding me with your creativity.
Why are you creating separate paths instead of mapping those to
To the one form.
the
Because we are going to have... Oh, I see what you're saying.
which is what we did yesterday?
Yes. Because it's not... The verbs are not as important for this because anytime someone hits enter on a page, that's a get, right? If the only time there's ever a post... Okay, wait, I can't say it. Most of the time, the only time you're ever having a post is if you hit submit on a form, right? So we need separate pages or separate views because there is going to be like some different logic. The create's going to be, just rendering the form, but the update will be getting that object and rendering that data into the form.
Okay, because here we are rendering everything on the server side, returning that rather than returning data.
Exactly.
That is a distinction I did not appreciate.
Yeah. No. That's a very good question. Cool. Where should we head to next? Where can I? No, I'm kidding.
Are we still doing function based?
Yes. Okay. So let's make the one for home first. Cool. So now we're ready to go over here, and we'll do NASA comment, and what do we call it? Home. What do we call that? First, the server has to be views is not defined. Okay, so I'm stumped on this one. How do we fix this? It's happening right here. Okay. So here it's saying that this views is not defined. Where can we get that?
Before all this, did you already do the include URLs?
Or not before all of this. Like we did that together. So and that was what time? Like 2 minutes. Oh, thank you.
We named both views.
Exactly right. From where? Or no, we can just import views as.
Can you not just say input views?
I really feel like we can, but I think that last time I did it, I had a problem. But let's try it. Sorry, I'm restarting the timer because the video was messed up. Let's try it. Import views. I don't know if it will directly give us a module that we can work with unless we say as. Oh. No module named views. Oh no. What do we need? What?
What was it there?
As views? Oh. It was no module named views. Okay, so that wasn't the. It's NASA. Oh, so we should. That's one way of doing it. So if we wanted the other way to work, what we could say is import. Right, but this is that is a completely fine way of doing it. Yeah. No, it's up to your discretion. Just kidding. No,
So
yeah.
if you were
Has no attribute create. Okay.
So if you were doing that import as a comment dot views as converted or something, like as something other than what it is.
Yeah. So import NASA comment dot views as, and we can do any variable name that here. It's all it's doing. Like what it's doing is you're doing this, and then you're saying like views is equal to.
Oh, okay. So so it's like
You can call it whatever. You could be like, hey.
is import NASA dot views as like base Cool.
Yep, it's not erroring. This is going to error, but for a different reason. Let's undo that though, because that is not. But then again, you should think of what is someone going to see that is going to be intuitive to them, right? So it's a good idea to keep your views object called views. I put def home there, or def view home, which is the name of our home view, and I really thought it was going to work, but not quite. So view home takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. Can anyone tell me what a positional argument is? I know there's one person that can tell me what a position.
Oh,
That's a keyword argument.
I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
I know we talked about it.
Okay. So if I have, there's two types of arguments you need to know about at the moment. Only really 2 I can think of on top of my head. I'm sure there's a way of doing another one. So a positional argument is I have like K. Let's say talk, and we have text here. And then we just print that as random text. So this is a positional argument, right? If I put a U here and then comma, and I had called it down here, and I said, this is what I want to say, this would error, right? Because for us to, or it would be passed in as a U instead of passed in as text. But if I said text equals A, we'll be fine, right? So this is called a keyword argument. Anytime you're calling something and you're saying the argument is equal to a value, you're using the keyword argument. Anytime you are just putting it there and relying just on where it is, right? Meaning, is it first or second or third, right, in your argument list? That is called a positional argument. So if this is saying that it takes, so what does it mean when it says it takes 0 positional arguments?
It doesn't have a parameter.
Yeah.
That's why you have to
Yeah.
like 0 parameters, and you gave 1 parameter.
They said that, but 1 was given.
It says positional argument.
Well,
Sorry, when
Same.
I saw that, I was like, I think they need a parameter.
A parameter is the variable placeholder when you define a function, and the argument is the value that's passed into the role.
Shouldn't use functions take one of the
oh, wow. Nice. Does it have to be called requests? I want to call it hi.
I thought it
Well, if it was a keyword argument, it wouldn't need to be called requests. But since it's a positional argument, we can call it whatever we want. We still got an error, but did our hi print? Yeah, this is the home page, and then there's our request. Now, because we don't want to anger the senior dev, we're going to call it requests, because that's standard. So let's call it request. But I've seen some people call it R, some people call it. You just need to make sure that it's clear.
really quick, sorry.
Yeah.
parameters are an int, whatever the name is, and a dictionary, whatever the name is. So you're like clarifying what type it is.
Is a variable and the method definition. Interesting.
You know, that makes sense.
Oh, okay, yeah. So as he said, this is going to be the arguments, which is what you're passing in, and the parameter is what's actually defined. Interesting. I generally have heard them used interchangeably. So I just actively interpret in the context to figure out what's going on.
No, I thought it was like you're defining the class. Quest.
Was just an indicator of what was wrong.
Mhm.
Because it said that you passed in a session of arguments, but the reason that it was erroring was because there was no, the word request wasn't in there.
Yeah, which is saying, it's almost saying like, it said there was none.
That parameter because you don't,
It-
you're passing
yes.
an argument, there's no parameter.
Yes.
But if it had said you the other way around, you don't have a parameter.
Mhm.
Then
Yeah, I could see why it's confusing. I think it's sort of the definition in this case is not like what's important is that you can appreciate the context of what's happening and explore it more so than knowing any particular definition.
No, it's not something to worry about. I understand it's semantics.
Okay, who can help me fix this?
Go back to your page. That's it. That's what.
Yeah, that's what we got.
Import HTTP version.
Yeah. So just import.
From Django.http, import HTTP response. Now go to your views.
Done.
Go to your view and return HTTP. Erase that print statement, please.
I liked it.
And just copy this is the home page and create some parentheses. See if that works.
You're the hero we needed.
No, I'm always a bad guy.
Oh, couldn't even tell. Okay, so yes. Yeah, sure. So like what, like you want an HTTP code or do you want to like say 200 or do you want to? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Can we see that? No, yeah. It wouldn't load in the browser if here I'll test it using curl so you can see that actually do something. Oh wow, it didn't give us the. Yeah, that's what I get for using curl instead of Postman. Or curl. That's the template, but we need to figure out how we're gonna have our view send the template. So, and we're gonna do that right after I demonstrate this. We want to get. Cool. We probably gotta. Where's the response, right? Data. Okay, yeah, there we go. Cool. Yeah, so in a browser, you're not going to see that unless there's a problem, right? So if we said, actually, can we say? Oh, that's really sad. But we can. Yeah, the browser's not having us. It's maybe if we do a 500. No, it doesn't care. Okay, that's fine. So I saw this render function was just loaded in here from Django shortcuts. And I have some suspicions about this. So we're going to Google it. Render. Request template name. I like that. I think that's probably going to be what we need. Full name of a template, use. Okay. Template loading documentation. Not, well, actually, yes, we do need that. Okay, so it looks like we need to make a place for our templates to be. And from this, let's put it in our app. So we'll oh no, we have one called NASA. NASAgram. Okay. Make a folder called templates. It won't be a .py. It'll be an HTML file. Because we're literally going to be, what we're doing is we're going to have an HTML file. It's going to have a little bit of code in it using a language called Jinja. And then we're rendering in data into that HTML file, and we're sending it, right? So it's almost like, and we could already do that here if we wanted to. So we could say like div, let's do something you can see. So we could say, yeah, that this is a list. We could just write HTML right here. Well, we'll find out right now. Yeah. So yeah, so now let's say, I don't like that. So basically what this is going to do is just give us a way of sending a whole HTML file instead of just like a string. Okay, so templates. Let's see if they have any good, yeah. So it's definitely going to be HTML. So let's, what should we call our homepage? Right here. I made it in the NASA comments. So it's in the app. Yes. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? Unfortunate. What should we call our homepage? Interesting. Okay. Say very nice homepage.html. Cool. So now I think we saw that render function probably does something. So let's look up render again. Must provide a render method. Yikes, that's not what we want. Okay, so the first argument is request. The next argument is template name. Okay. So we can just say like render request. And then what was our template name? Was it home? Actually forgot. Let's see. Templates. Yeah, very nice homepage. Cool. Do we need to do anything else here? I don't. So we're not gonna have to import templates that way. We might have it. If my memory serves me, I believe it will look in templates by default, but we might end up having to configure it. Yes, but we're about to find out if that's true.
So render, what is it?
I just put render here. I'm assuming it's going to do something. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, actually. Let's return that. So this should be good, right? Okay. It's blank. You broke it. Let's say hi. All right. We're in business. Now we've got this file. We can just write anything here. And it renders. Cool. I hope you guys know how to write HTML because it's been a while. So let's do actually a nav element. Let's say homepage. So what do we need on this page? It's an HTML tag. So the way HTML works, yeah, let's do a little history lesson here. So HTML is not a programming language. It is a concept language, right? HTML is always constructed out of tags. A tag has a for defining a document, right? So sort of imagine it like when you're typing something in Microsoft Word, you'll say like I want bullets here, I want this indented, I want to change this font, right? What HTML does is just give you a way to do that with code. So it's just HTML is all about defining a document. It's exactly LaTeX is a markup language as well. Had to write a lot of as a math major.
Oh, that's what you were doing with your math stuff, making it look all fancy and whatnot.
Yeah, of course. Income stream. So it always has a div is just sort of for you. Jake, can you give a good description of what div is used for?
It's a box. You can put anything you want in it because a div is just a box that doesn't have any special purpose.
Yeah.
If you looked at the HTML, there was one called a nav, and that tells the browser and screen readers and Google this is a nav. And so there's all sorts of different tags. There's headers, there's lists, there's divs.
And all of them.
Div and span is for any content. But the other tags like nav, header, footer, etc., those are called semantic HTML tags. And you want to use semantic HTML tags for that class.
And Jake will be doing, building a static website tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to learn a lot more about HTML and CSS and how to make things look pretty today.
Are we going to also learn about making static files in Django?
I think that'll be today. I mean, like, this is a static file. Are you going to learn how to properly handle your assets?
No.
I'll send you a tutorial later on that.
It's a lot. Appreciate you.
I got you. Okay, so they all have a opening tag and an ending tag. Again, we're focusing on HTML tomorrow, so don't worry too much about it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
When you were in your, I guess we haven't gotten there yet.
Mhm.
But I just want to know, like, when you give the image URL as a string, are you going to use response, not get in your views?
When we get the image here, are we going to use response.get? And yes. Yes. Okay. So what do we need on this page? We need an image. What else? Or I guess it's list of images with comment and rating. Okay. So it's the home page. We need a list of images with comment and rating. Okay. So currently, this is just a static file. We haven't loaded any data into it, and it would be difficult to do that because we have no data. So I'm vote that the next thing we should do is make our form. So what's the first thing I should do if we want to make our form? And it needs to be in a template. Can I not just make a new file? Form? Does that work for everyone? Okay. So there's something called a form tag. Oh, href. So we can, let's look up HTML form tag. Okay, pro tip, don't go to W3 Schools, go to Mozilla.
That's a good tip.
I know, it's because they stole, because the organization that provides all the standards is called W3, but W3 Schools is not related. They just managed to snag that URL early.
And they managed to put ads all over it. They did this.
Yeah. If somebody wants to make a Chrome extension to filter out W3 Schools from searches, that'd be an awesome project to do.
It's not the same thing.
I'll be really interested to see how you manage to do that in Django.
Is it just that it's not currently updated? Because I've actually never really seen anything that was horribly wrong.
It's not horribly wrong. It's just usually not up to date, and I just have sort of a grudge.
Everybody hates it.
Yeah, everybody just, it's like they don't update, and also everybody hates on. It's like PHP. Like, what has PHP really done wrong? It's like, well, they don't.
70% of the sites in the world. I mean, I'm thinking about.
No, but you can't count WordPress.
What are you talking about? It's like a lot of money writing PHP. But I hear you. I hear you.
On the note of PHP, I had a friend who he's never like I've never seen him be shameful about anything. He's like very open person in general. I walk into his room one day, he's a developer in San Francisco, and he switches windows, and I pushed for like 3 hours, and eventually he like breaks down like on the verge of tears, and he's like, "It was PHP, okay? My cousin asked me to fix this WordPress site." It's like, he told me never to tell anyone. Okay. So it looks like we've got a form tag, and then inside, so name to name. here. So and then inside we have these input tags. So let's try that. So what? I'm down. Okay. So let's see what this looks like. Oh wait, we have a problem. How do we get to our form? How do we get to our form? Well, do we want our home page to render a form? It seems sort of weird. We need to add what? Okay. So we had our URLs here. Let's comment out create. Cool. Are we ready? Okay. So I made a view. And what do I need to put in here? Okay. Glad someone caught that. What's next? Well, if it's the same thing, I'll just... You guys are moving up. Okay, we've got a form. That's a comment, then templates.
So you didn't have to add it. No, that's not part of the edit.
Yeah, by default it will look for templates in there. Yes. I looked up. So I'll drop this in Slack right now. And this is what I looked up. Cool beans. Okay. Nice. So wait, name and email. Okay. Something's wrong here. We need comment and rating. Okay. So I know you guys haven't seen HTML before, but we're gonna have to get through this and figure out what we can edit. So we've got form. We've got this action. We're not sure what that does yet. We do recognize method equals get. Who knows what that does, but must be submitting via get, which is weird because it's creating, so we might need to change that. Class is form example. We're not sure what that is right now. We've got a div and another class. Label for name. Okay. So okay, so this makes sense. It's a label for name, and name is this input tag, right? Because we can see that its name is set to name. A lot of names. So we want to set this one to comment. So how do you guys think we can do that? I think we can just take this and nice. Okay. So how can we get this one to rating? Or to at least say rating. Based off what I did for comment. I like that. I posted it in Slack.
Change subscribe to whatever we said on the so that we can't
Okay, so this is nice. I 8 hours from last pay period here. Interesting. This is nice, except that I feel like rating should be like I've seen those like number fields before with HTML. So we're gonna look up HTML number tag. I have no idea what that's gonna give. We're gonna scroll past this reason. We're gonna go down to Mozilla. Number of that's okay. Okay, cool. So this looks like what we need. Oh, and it has a way to set the max and min right there. So we can stop them from even submitting the wrong thing. Cool, so let's copy that. We're gonna put it over here. We're gonna say it's required, and we're gonna change that to. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it can't go below 0, can't go above 5. Perfect. Well, that did nothing. Okay, so it registered as a get, and it sent in a get to this create, and it sent in these query parameters. Yes.
Can you explain what you did to restrict the rating of HTML?
Yeah, so we have this min flag right here, and we have this max flag. Let me make that. And those are all part of the tag. Yes.
Is form HTML what you're linking to in create?
Form HTML. Yeah, it's the create,
Okay.
or it's gonna be used in update too. But yep. So we should change this to post since it is a create, and let's submit it. Looks solid. That was anticlimactic. Oh, it still did a get. Did I not refresh? .403 CSR. Oh, okay. I really sort of want to wait for Lindsay to be here. Yeah, because it's for creation. So we're 34 minutes in. Ideas. Oh. Yeah, but I think the developer that did that yesterday got fired for that, so we don't want to do that. kidding. It's not a good practice, right? It's there for a reason. So, ideas. How can we handle this?
What's going on?
We got this error when we tried to submit.
Go to templates.
Django is hurting us. Django. Okay, so Django CSRF mechanism.
The guy got fired.
Must be important. Cross-site request forgeries. Okay, so it looks like what these do is they essentially are making sure that that form was rendered by your page, right? To make sure that nobody is submitting a form from like their own website. Okay, but oh, look at this. So they've got a form with a method of post, and then they've got this little thing here. Looks sort of weird, but I'm willing to try it. let's see what that does. Yikes. Okay, well, it did an error. And it looks like the post went through. It had a 403. So let's look at what that is. Okay, so we got a 403 forbidden. Oh no, that was actually the earlier one, was a 403. The most recent one we got a 200. Cool. So it looks like it, yes. What we did is we put in a CSRF token on line 2. Now what this is doing is, this is using Jinja, which we're going to go over a little bit more in depth in just a second. But this CSRF token is, and let me actually show you it on the page. Right here. So this is what that does. It basically creates a hidden field that has a token in it that Django knows to look for. So Django generates that token when it submits it. It keeps track of it for you, right? And then when it's submitted, it goes, hey, that was that form I rendered earlier, so I know that that's me, right? And what that prevents is an attack where somebody has some other website and they can submit as though they're on your website from theirs, right? Because now there's a token in the form, so Django knows that is my form.
They just copy out.
Yeah. Well, so there's other CSRF protections. For example, like Django also checks that the URL is the same. So if they did it from a different URL, it would also error or give them a 403.
You can send a custom post request to that URL as well.
You could, yeah. So you're always going to be able to, well, let's see. So the CSRF has to be with the URL. So you're thinking that what they're going to do is they're going to go into, and they're going to send.
They can make their own custom HTTP header to that URL as well.
And mock as though they're from localhost. Yeah, no, but it's not telling via the HTTP header because you know where the request came from, right? Like if I do, so if I'm in Postman, you're saying that in the headers.
Don't they know where you are from via HTTP header?
No. I mean, that information is going to be included in like the whole request, right? Because it's going to have like your IP, right? Or it's going to have whatever the.
I send the request, right?
Yes.
So I tell them what URL I want.
You don't tell them what your IP is, right? They have that implicitly.
But wouldn't I get the token from my key as well, so it doesn't matter?
You have to be intercepting as a proxy.
You would have to, what you would have to do is it's not as simple as just copy that and like paste it in and then tell it, oh, I'm coming from a different IP address, right? And how it will work in practice is Django is expecting that it be submitted from like localhost 8000 or something like that, which actually probably is in. I don't think I fully understand your question.
Like, I don't think there's a point for the.
There
I don't
is.
get the point of the value.
Mm-hmm. Only. I didn't think you could. Yes.
Is there any reason why VS Code wouldn't be recognizing files as like .html?
It might not have a plugin installed. So they would have to mock up their host URL as though they were coming from you. And then they would have to, so if they wanted to set up like an attack, they would have to get the CSRF, they would have to mock up their host.
Actually, I made one for Google Forms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think to answer your question, this is where the answer to your question is going to be, because they're not doing this in the browser. They're already going to have to write their own, like,
So the
code to do
one
this.
reason for that token is you can't trust Chorus, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way Postman works is Postman specifically disables all of core features if you're writing in programming languages, right? If someone is trying to script to scrape your site, those don't care about Chorus. So Chorus is more a browser protection, but if you want more protection than that, then you need the other token as well, which Django provides.
Well, there is a difference between cross-origin resource sharing, which is CORS,
Yeah.
and CSRF, which is cross-site cross-origin.
Yes. So Chorus is just a browser protection, and it's really not all that safe, and you shouldn't depend on it for everything.
It has to be configured typically, but
It has to.
also some things are exempt from it. Images, for example, and that is definitely a threat surface that you can pass in attacks through images, PDFs. I mean, there are things that bypass cores. The CSRF is a different type of attack. I actually just posted a link to OWASP, which is the source with application security project, and it's a really good canonical reference for any kind of security. This is a pretty good description, an overview of a lot of good resources for CSRF. I personally think that this is something that anybody who's doing web development needs to be familiar with, because there's a lot of security is not really focused on a lot in either academics or in the code camp type of teaching where you're learning very quickly. But it's really something that is worth learning about, because you can, I mean, just look at the guys at Capital One that get their asses kicked today because they expose 100 million user identities to target. All of these things are happening because of the lack of fundamental knowledge of things like CSRF for cores or proper configuration. And all it takes is one or two things up there in your C code to expose your company to $100 million lawsuit. But it can, I mean, anything can be spoofed. There's no such thing as making anything secure. So it's a cat and mouse process of trying to configure your systems and write your code in a secure way, sanitize your inputs, make sure that you're including these types of configurations. But could somebody spoof it? Sure. They could set up an intercepting proxy server. They could capture, especially when you're communicating wirelessly, anywhere.
I've had a scraper where my purpose was to circumvent the CSRF token, and I did do that. It's not perfect, but it made my life a lot harder, and it was frustrating. So it's a good first measure.
But the thing is, a persistent, targeted threat will break into your system.
So if you wanted to get past this, I think he's 100% accurate in saying that you could. It is possible, right? Because like clearly people are able to submit without like a. If you really wanted to lock this down, you would have user credentials that somebody has to log into your site, right, before they are able to do anything, right? If you just are having a site like this where it's completely open, you can just go and submit something immediately. If somebody wants to go and create like custom software to be able to save something on your website, you're not really going to be able to stop them. I mean, a simpler way would be to just have some type of like web driver where they literally just go to your site and save it. Right. The point of the tag is more of preventing. It's preventing somebody from thinking that they're on your site and not being on your site. It's preventing someone from it. I think Jake put it well in that it's a first measure, right? If you want to lock this down, you should do user authentication, right? Yes, right.
And even then, if you add the CSRF token, then your authentication is something, right? So it's all these things working together. It's not just, oh, you hashed your passwords, therefore everything's.
Mhm.
It's all sorts of things.
But that would be a way of I don't.
If you have a login, you would also have to steal the session cookies, right? Plus the CSRF.
Yeah, so if you have access to their account, right, or you can set up some like man-in-the-middle attack or something like that, right, then you're going to be able to get that. But that's when you would say like, okay, we're going to have it over to try to prevent a man-in-the-middle attack. We're going to use HTTPS, right, or we're going to.
So none of this helps if you're using HTTP, right? Because you can see the session cookies, you can see the CSRF as well.
Well, but with HTTPS, you can see the CSRF too.
HTTPS.
You can see the CSRF
Wouldn't it be-
because it's actually rendered as a tag. It's not stored in a cookie.
But if it's HTTPS, then you receive the website, the private key encryption.
You are.
So they wouldn't be able to get it from just like your hand in the middle.
Are you talking about the CSRF tag, or are you talking about like their session?
Both, right?
No. So the CSRF tag, because through a man in the middle, no, you would not be able to get it. Yes,
Yeah.
but you could still if you had access like copy from there or something like that. Like it doesn't obfuscate the actual tag.
Like, let's say SSL,
An SSL certificate is SSL is a protocol. I think it's not secure. Yeah, secure sockets layer. Essentially, an SSL certificate is it's HTTP through a secure socket, and essentially what it's doing is giving you a way to protect from somebody like listening in directly by like authenticating the request beforehand. So when something is over HTTPS, they have a certificate that's basically verifying who they are, and you're checking that certificate to make sure that they are what they say. I would recommend that you be aware of the best practices associated with security. Designing and implementing and protecting very large architectures is a job unto itself. So if you're like a normal web dev, you do not generally do that. You talk to the security guy that sits in the office over there, and you make sure you're implementing all the practices that they say.
same thing, very extensive.
Yes. And a lot of it is using, a lot of these problems are abstracted away, right, by using frameworks or using, like if you host it yourself, you automatically have way more things you have to think about than if you use Amazon. So I think that when it comes to like what can the average web developer do, what is the highest leverage option, and that's going to be knowing what security best practices are and trying to use open source and industry standards as much as possible.
You don't want to roll your own security ever.
Yes, and unless you're a security expert. Maybe even if you are a security expert.
I bet even if they are, they'll say, yeah, I can use the industry.
Yeah. A million people looking at the like a protocol or security protocol is going to be better than one person building it themselves. Okay, what's next? CSRF, we have the comment, we have a rating. Form example, post. Okay, so it's we have a successful post, but nothing is actually happening. What do we need to add next? A handler method. What do you mean by that? Okay, so we know where, so when we have a get and we hit the create view, what do we want to do? A get is a page refresh. So when we hit refresh, what do we want to happen? For it to be blank again, right? Which means that we're re-rendering our template. So when we have a get, turn that instead. It's what? Well, not when we refresh. Oh, unless it's like resubmitting that form. Okay. Yeah, so what was happening is when I was hitting refresh, it was doing just whatever the last one was, which was a post. Cool. So that's still functioning as we want it to. What do we want to do? What do we want to add here? What do we need to handle? What case? A post. Okay, so what do I do? Yeah. Actually, what should we return? We probably want to send them to that. We want to send them something and say, hey, that's been created. So for now, what we'll do is we'll just take a HTTP response and we'll say created. Cool. So if we say looks solid, or set that to 0, created. What do we need to do here? Okay. So stats. So we want to get our post data. Okay, so this looks like how we can get our post data. So let's test it. What parameter do we want to look for? So looks solid, which was our comment, and we want to get the rating too. Cool. So that's good. We have looks solid, and we have our rating. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yep.
Why do you have to explicitly ask for a post? I mean, isn't it a post at that point when it comes back?
Yeah. So it's think of it more as like there are actually let me check on this because I'm pretty sure that if it has query parameters.
You can just say request that again.
Yeah.
I mean, just the lowercase, but
Oh, ooh. I do not think it's gonna like that, but I would love to try it. Yeah. So the reason is that like post data is particular, right? It's not the same as get data. So get data is always sent through query parameters, right? Whereas
And it's insecure.
it's
yes.
all coming back.
W-
It's got to be defined this way. There's not a way to get the full object.
Um,
You have to ask for each one individually.
do you mean like to get like all the query parameters and like all the parameters in one thing?
Like request dot body,
Mhm.
body.
So,
Schema body. I'm thinking that body won't contain query parameters, but I'm not 100% on that, but I can test it very easily. So what we'll do is we'll do that, and then we'll say localhost 8000 and then we'll add a query parameter. Yeah, so our body was still blank. I believe though if we did a post to this page and we set let's say, yeah, we can do PID. Oof. Forbidden. Oh, we can test your theory, actually. Let's remove that. Yeah. Actually, yeah, we can keep that. That's fine. Just refresh. I want a real refresh. So it's called CSRF middle token. Oh man. Still forbidden. I wanted to see if I could just copy that and get by it, as he was saying, but I guess it's too smart for me. CSRF, oh, it has a cookie too. Okay, well, so I'm not going to be able to test and see that at this moment. Actually, what we can do is here we'll just say we'll print body, and I'll add query parameter to the form. And guys, if you're not quite following, this is just answering a question, so it's okay for this part. Cool. So it should do a post to that, and that should have a query parameter. Refresh. Solid 1. So that did come through with query parameters. Yeah, but again, yeah, so the query parameters that were sent in, though, were rating is equal to 5, right? So the query parameter that came in was rating equals 5, but we can see in our byte string here that it was rating equals 1. So we can tell that it's using the post data for the body. Because a get doesn't have a body. So I don't think there's a very good way of sort of just lumping all your parameters together. Usually in Django, you don't actually do this type of manual loading like this. You use what we're going to use, potentially use later, which is class-based views. Yes.
Could you do something in the HTML file to redirect to the created, like, when I did create, like,
I did action here, but you shouldn't need that. It should be, this is all you need. Because it's being rendered by your create page, so by default, yes. Yes, okay, there we go.
Back in your views, where do you actually save this to your local database?
Currently, we don't.
So that would be under the post method, you're going to add a request.save.
We're going to have, not a request.save, what we're going to do is we're going to pull the data off the request and save it. Yes. Here, so this one is printing. Let me make this clear. Houston. I think that's illuminating. Okay, so what's next? So we've got our data in here. What do we need to do now? It is the default value, so we could set this to default comment, and then we'll just submit a rating. I have it set as required. I mean, that makes sense. We won't submit that. So maybe it's not the default, actually. Let me check this. So -1, interesting. Yeah, I have that. But I would like to see what the arguments for this are, especially since he asked. We'll just try the .get. Is there a post.get on this page? Oh, there's not. So, see query dict.com. Okay. So it is a query dictionary, and it's q dot here headers.get. See, but I do think it is default. Let me blank. Yeah, I could see that. Let's clean up some of these. What the fuck? Awesome, thank you. So as he put, what was happening is the reason the default wasn't working is that the form is by default submitting a blank string. So it wasn't recognizing a blank string as like an empty value, right? And the default wasn't activating from that. So we actually might, if we want a default, we'll need to include some logic for that.
We'll put that in the form itself, default thing.
So we can put a initial value, or we can put some bit of logic there to check if it was blank, right, and then activate. But there's no like, I don't think there's a default attribute in an HTML input tag.
Show it page is that it's the user guidance.
Yeah, default value if empty. Okay, so they're using JavaScript. Yeah, they're using JavaScript, but you can do this placeholder.
But that doesn't come back to value. That's just
It will as long as they don't change it. But if they like, so let me just show you. Best way to learn by seeing. So it's just going to, yeah. If you type it, it changes.
what you just submitted like this. Will you give that default?
You should. No. Maybe I need to set it to, I'll set it to value instead. Yeah. So now it's an actual, yes. So the placeholder is just it's just superficial then. What you'd need to modify is value. We, however, are not going to have a default. Or actually, I'll leave it there as an example. Cool. So we still need to do something here. Ideas. What have we not done yet on this create? Yes, we need to save the value to the database. So what's the first thing we're going to need if we're interacting with our database? Well, we could use a serializer, but today we're not going to. So it's not a serializer, but if you remember what I drew up there before, who is responsible? What segment of Django is responsible for all the database stuff? So we've got in Django, got a user. Here's URLs. Use. Model. Template. Only one of these can talk to the database. Well, actually, only one of these should talk to the database. Yes. So what should we do? I'm gonna speed up just a little bit so we can make time. So models, what do we call it? NASA comment. Comment models import. And we called our model comments. Good. Comment. So now we need to create this. So we're going to do comment. Django, anytime we're working with an instance of a comment, we're going to be using the object that is sitting on our comment model, right? Can anyone tell me where is this logic coming from? What did we define in comment? What did we define here that is giving us access to all of these Django defaults? All these. Exactly, because we're inheriting from model. So now we'll say objects, say create, and that we set that just comment is equal to
Just sign it to a variable so you have something.
we are going to assign it to a variable. Yep. We're going to be rating. Cool. So I like it like that. So like that that's good, but we're missing something.
I checked there.
Want to check what are we commenting on? Do we have a picture? Okay. So that presents a problem for us, right? Because in order to get a picture, we have to have a date. So do we want them to be able to select which date they're commenting on? Or do we want to just present a random picture to them and have them comment? Roll the dice. Okay. Well, let's get a random picture on our form then. Okay. It's honestly not the option I was expecting to go with, but I'm down. So we want to generate a random date. So because we're really lazy, we're gonna look up Python generate.
Second thought, it might be better just to have these
So food's here.
Foods here. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna do. Who wants to do date picker? Who wants to do random date? Some people haven't voted. Everybody vote this time. Who wants to do date picker? Who wants to do random date?
What if we did a date picker? We're at the start of the date.
Oh man.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so if we do a date picker, then we need a way for them to submit that. So, and we didn't include that in our mockup.
We just hard code the date.
We could hard code a date to test it, but I would rather do. We could render the form.
I'm a little confused what's common.
This one.
Yeah, the import.
This is our model.
Like, how does it know? Oh, you made the comment.
So I'm almost thinking we should have another page that's like, yes.
So, for like the, are we commenting on a picture that we like clicked on that we chose? Like, why would we have a random
I see. So what you're saying is we should have like a page where there's just a bunch of pictures and they can click on that to make a comment.
Yeah, I thought it was like a list of like, or like a column of pictures, and like there's like comment on this one.
No, I like that, and I can implement that way faster. So we're gonna go with that. So we'll call it list. Let's call it picture list. Take a request. We're gonna render a template called picture list HTML. And we'll go to URLs. Okay, we're gonna return that. Then here, do we want them to? Yeah, what we'll do is, here we need to import requests. And we're going to, oh, but that's been broken for some reason. So let's see, NASA Picture of the Day API. Sign up for a NASA developer key. Don't mind if I do. Optional, cool. And then what do they want us? Where do they? Oh, they want us just to pass it as a key. Live example, perfect. Nice, nice, nice. Can do. Really, we should put, I want to put this in environment variable, but we don't quite have time because I also want everyone to be able to eat. So we're not going to do that right now. They have another key for date that I'm thinking they call date. And we'll just make this an F string. And this will be, yeah, you can do a capital F string. I did that just for you. Okay. So for our MVP here, meaning minimal viable product, we're just going to do 10 dates. Yeah. I'm going to be super lazy. Date time. Date time dot now. Mm-hmm. All of this should be very familiar to you guys since you did this earlier this week. That's why I'm sort of flying through it, or trying to at least. HTURL. And we're going to say dates is equal to minus, I want time delta. Yeah. We're going to say days is equal to negative num. So what this is going to do is it's going to take our current day, it's going to go 2 days ago, and it's going to get the days up till 10 days ago, right? So, and to make sure that's what URLs is equal to list else dot n. Let's print URLs. Okay, let's test that works. Yikes. Empty expression not allowed. Oh. Date dot let's see. ToString, what ISO string, that would be fine. Oh, can I do that? Yeah, sure. We'll just rely on its repr. as I learned thanks to Bo. Oh no, has no attribute time delta. Tragic things. Let's try. Has no attribute get. That should be requests, not request. Yeah, do you think that's what's gonna kill us here? Yeah. Unconverted data remains. Okay. No picture list HTML. That's right. If, there should be. So what do we need? We need. It needs year, then month, then day. Okay. Year, month, day. That looks like ISO format to me. Does it want a dash or a slash? Hyphen. Perfect. Oh no. Okay. Unconverted data remains. 400 is. Bad request. Okay. Let's look at our URLs. Oh, I thought I did copy the key completely. Oh, thank you. Oh, I just. Wait, use this one. I doubt it. But bad request, we would get forbidden if it was a problem with the key. We wouldn't get. We'd get forbidden or like cannot authenticate. Yeah, we've got a different problem here. Oh, that is not what we need. We've got some extraneous. Okay, so we just need. Let's toy with this for a second. I'm pretty sure we can say print date.day. We can. Yeah, so that means that we could just do. And there's 100% a better way to do this. I'm just going to do this quickly. Date dots, what was it, year, then month, dash, date.day. Let's see if that fixes our problem here. So year, month, day, still getting an error. Was it? Oh yeah, start time. That is exactly what we need. Thank you. But I don't know if that's quite our problem. On July 31st, 2019.
Oh, you need 0, 8,
And then
0, 2, 0.
Today is July 31st, and you're asking for a day.
Yeah, I think that this is not working as it should. Oh, there we go. So what was happening is I was saying negative number, and then I was subtracting the time delta. Cool, cool. That stirp time, by the way, is a better way to do it than this. I'm just not going to change it at this second. No, HTURL. What about a URL? Will you give me that? Cool, cool. Ooh, we have some YouTube there. We're going to get to play some videos. Excited. Okay. So we have URLs. And now we need a way of passing this into our template. So we're going to look up render again. Whatever. Okay. Optional arguments. Context. A dictionary of values to add to the template context. I'd put money on that. So we'll say context equals, and we'll say URLs is URLs. And then we'll look up Django iterate through list template. And we'll steal this, just paste it there. It's fine, I don't really want that class. Okay, so for ours was called URLs. We're going to say for URL, and we'll just replace that. So I know this is new. This is called Jinja, but I think that this is pretty intuitive. For URL and URL, there's URL, and you have to put an N4 in Jinja. So you have to end your blocks. And that sort of makes sense, right? Because it's taking a cue from HTML. HTML is using start and end tags. It makes sense that you would want your templating language in HTML to also use start and end tags. Though that's not always true. There are other templating languages that don't, such as Haml, if that means anything. Cool. So we've got those. Now we just need to I don't know if it's going to render. Okay. Cool. So we've got a list of pictures. Now we just need a way of clicking on those pictures and getting to the create with it. So we'll put something called an anchor tag, say, and so it's going to be NASA comments / create, and then we want to have a query parameter called picture ID, or a picture URL, and we'll just set that equal to URL. What an anchor tag is a link, so I'm just wrapping this image in a link so that we can click on it. We'll say,
And an interrupt is just a location where that should go.
yeah. NASA comments. Oh, it's NASA comment. There are ways to, by the way, to generate that without hard coding it. Or just hard coding it for this example. Cool. And now we have, in our query parameters, we have a picture URL. So on our get, over here, we can say, post.get, picture URL. say our URL is equal to that. And we'll go ahead and we'll pass that in through the context, just as we did the other one. So I'll say URL. That still runs. Yeah. We do. None. Oh no. Picture URL. Oh, post needs to be get because it's, remember, post is for forms, right? And it has its own post data. Anything in those query parameters after the question mark is going to be get. Cool. And now we can set, we can just say ref equals oh, man. Can you turn a database into a data frame? Is this a pandas question right now? After. That is not related at all to this. Okay. So we have that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add a hidden field that has our URL. And that's going to be sort of our way of injecting it into our post data. So the type equals hidden, name equals URL, values equal to URL. And now when we submit, oh, we didn't do anything in the backend for it. Here, we're going to say URL is equal to default to blank. Now when we submit, oh, okay. We'll get an error. URL is an invalid keyword argument for this. Did we not? What are we? Image. Cool. We got a 200. I think it was created, but let's go look at. So our home page is supposed to be where we're listing them, right? Okay. So let's go to our very nice home page. Let's remove this. We don't need it anymore. Okay, so how can we get all of them? We have our model, which is called comment. The objects. How can we get all of them? I know at least one person has this answer. Are we good to go? Make sure to call your functions. Okay, so how can we get those into our, someone who hasn't answered, how can we get those into our template? Reference it in our HTML? Okay, so if we do, so if we say for comment in comments, I'm just copying what we did in the other one. So if we do this, we should be good. Okay, let's see if that works. Oh, that's sad. We don't have anything. What might be the problem? What do we have to do in the view side? Yes, thank you. Comment object 1. Nice. All right. We're going to be raising series A in no time. Okay, so let's what's something that if I said like, hey, we want like a decent output for this, what could I add to the model to do that? We learned this 2 days ago. We do want it to return a string, so what by default should be used? Yes. So let's do stir, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be stir. We'll just return f string, capital F, just because it's different. Haven't done that. What? No, because it's not a class method. It is an instance method, right? That's why we're passing itself. Because if it was a class method, it would look like say class method with 2 S's, and then it'd be like def hey, and we pass in CLS, which is just convention for a class. So we'll do an f string with the comment. Ah, comment is not defined. Self.comment. And yes, in other languages you don't have to do that, but in Python you always have to put the self dot first. Cool, default text here. Looks right. Let's so we could do something super crazy that actually would not be good. We could actually write an image tag here if we wanted to. I'm not going to do that because that's terrible practice, even though part of me wants to do it just because it's fun. Instead, we're going to go to our very nice homepage, and we're going to put comment there, and then we're going to say image src is equal to comment.url. No, it's comment.image. Thank you. Okay. So our homepage is listing them, and now we need a link to, well, it's listing comments. Cool. So we have a page for listing pictures. We have a page for listing comments we've made. We have a page for creating comments. What's the last thing we need to do? Well, this is displaying them, right? We have default. It's not very nice. Let me remove this, but default. Oh, we need the rating. Let's put that in here. Cool. What do we need to do? Well, we've already stored it, right? Because when we create it, it's being stored through the model, right? That's why we had to bring in our model. And our model is talking to our database. So it's 12:28. We did start late, but I think this is actually a good place for us to stop. The answer I was looking for was update, right? So what we're going to do for today's assignment, first I'm going to stop streaming.